Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to Chronically Well Club Radio. I'm your host, Rebecca Naylor. I am a health coach here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and I'm very pleased to be partnering with MS&Me to bring you this program. Every week, my main time slot is Sundays at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so you may be listening live at that time or you may be listening in the archives. Either way, I thank you for tuning in, and I sincerely hope that everything I share with you today can offer some kind of inspiration or insight into how you find yourself able to heal from multiple sclerosis as I have. So this is episode 3, and the title of this episode is The Power of Visualization. So we're really going to be talking about mind and emotions today and how that relates to your overall health and well-being. So a little bit of a recap for anyone who's tuning in for the first time. I was diagnosed with relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis back in 1997 when I was just 17 years old. And basically, I've spent the last 20 years on a really epic journey to experiment and learn and discover ways that I could heal myself, recognizing that the care I was looking for was not coming from the current healthcare model. I needed to figure out how to create my own wellness. I've really committed my life to that for myself, and now, since I created Chronically Well Club this year, I'm really committing myself to the service of others and to continuing what I've started recently to share everything I learned so that hopefully others can benefit as well. And I just want to say, if there's anything that really speaks to you in this or another episode, please do not hesitate to reach out. Please feel free to reach out. I really would love to hear from you and to connect with you and to create a dialogue. And there are no barriers between you, the listener, and me, the speaker here. There's no pedestal. I am one of you. I am an MSer, and so are you. So if you want to have a conversation, speak up. Use your voice. I encourage you to. And I would really love to hear from you, sincerely. I do my best to reply to everybody who gets in touch with me as soon as I can. So just a little invitation there. The philosophy that I've developed and that I'm currently writing about in the book that I'm working on, my book is going to be called Chronically Well Club, and I talk about something called the 8 keys. These are things that I've discovered over the past 20 years that all contribute to overall well-being, especially for people with multiple sclerosis and other autoimmune illnesses. So a quick recap, because episode 1 is all about these keys in detail. But key number 1, diet. 2, toxic load. 3, movement. 4, emotions. 5, environment. 6, cognition. 7, gut. And 8, mindset. So today, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about visualization. So as we talk about this, I'll be commenting on key 4, which is your emotions. I'll be talking about key 6, cognition and creativity. And I'll be talking about key 8, mindset. These 3 things overlap and interact. None of these can be viewed in isolation. So let's talk about what this visualization thing is. First of all, I have to say this is one of the most powerful tools I have ever discovered and that I use on an ongoing basis. And I really do mean ongoing, like right now, like 5 minutes ago, like I'll be doing it again after this. Just like I talk about in movement, you don't have to go to the gym to exercise. Movement is something that happens constantly, right? Unless we're sleeping. And visualization is the same way. Your thoughts are a form of visualization. We have a thought, we have a feeling reaction, and then there are physical manifestations in our body. That's what happens. You may have heard the expression, thoughts become things. So let me give you some really clear examples of exactly what that means, because it sounds like some airy-fairy new age principle, but it really is quite simple. So take a moment right now and think about a time in your life when something really embarrassing happened. So I'm talking about, you're in elementary school and in the middle of a quiet lesson, you fart in front of the teacher. Or, you're walking down the street and you see a cute person across the street and you try and give them a wink, but instead you trip and you fall on your face. These kind of embarrassing moments. And I want you to think about what happens to your face when that happens. What happens in your thoughts? And then what happens in your body? The thought is, oh my God, probably I'm such an idiot, or why did that happen? Or I can't believe this. I'm horrified. I'm mortified. I'm so embarrassed. People are looking at me. They're judging me, right? So these are the thoughts. The thought is creating the feeling, and the feeling is horror, embarrassment, the desire to hide, right? These are the emotions. But then what happens to your body? The flushing of the face, right? The flushing of the face. Red-faced embarrassment. So that is a really clear example of thought becoming manifested. Some other really clear examples. What happens to your face when you're sad? You automatically pout your lips. What happens to your face when you're happy? You automatically smile. When you're surprised, your eyebrows grow up. When you're angry, you clench your muscles, especially in your fists and in your jaw. So all thoughts have physical reactions. Some of them are very common and universal, like these ones. Some of them are unique to individuals. But since we're always thinking, we're always feeling. And since we're always feeling, we're always manifesting things in our body. Like fear manifests a physical release of adrenaline and cortisol, which can both have positive consequences in the short term to help us do what we need to do, but they can have very negative consequence when they are chronic, when they are there all the time, right? So I want to talk in this episode about why it's really important to consciously and purposefully choose our thoughts, especially as a person with MS, because as we choose our thoughts, we're choosing our body. And as we're choosing our body, we can choose to create health, or, like it or not, people, we got to own up to this, we can choose to create illness. And a lot of us don't realize that we're choosing to create illness by not taking the time to consciously choose our thoughts. By letting our thoughts go on autopilot, we have a tendency, like a collective consciousness. I'm talking about the consciousness of humanity in general right now. We have a fear-based collective consciousness. Just think about the last time you looked at a newspaper or watched the news, right? Sensationalist headlines, horror, panic, fear, devastation, corruption. These are the words that we see all the time. And I felt, even when I was saying those words, a tightness in my chest. Right? A hunching in my shoulders. Like, I'm so aware of these automatic reactions we have to fear. So think about how much of your day you're presented with fearful thoughts externally, right? Just from the media alone. Never mind the people in your life, right? At work, in your home, in your community. Those people could be projecting fear onto you as well. And if you're always having this reaction of the tensing of the muscles and the adrenaline and the cortisol, you run into things like adrenal fatigue, a big contributing factor to autoimmune illness. So again, it's an example of thought, feeling, belief, and then physical manifestation. I believe there are really only two emotions, two ideas in this world. It's either fear or it's love. That's it. Everything can really go into those two categories. So as I'm consciously choosing my thoughts, and it's an ever-evolving process, right? I'm not perfect about this, but with each passing day, I become stronger and stronger at this kind of awareness, this aware action. In every situation I'm faced with, I stop, especially when I have a decision to make, and I ask myself, what would love do? Because our first reaction to any situation is often a reaction that is based on fear. And we can choose to respond to any situation out of fear or out of love. And as you may be guessing, the reaction that is based on fear generally leads to physical manifestations in our body that are unhealthy, that lead to states of disease, which is dis-ease, to not be in a state of ease, right? Whereas when we react in a way that answers the question, what would love do? We tend to react in a way that is uplifting, that is inspiring, that raises our vibration, and brings us to a state of wellness and releases any of that fear, any of those negative physiological reactions that we know so much contribute to our stress and therefore to eventually our illness. So although the collective consciousness right now is fear, I feel very optimistic because I feel that there's a real global paradigm shift happening. And I see it all around me. And you can choose to see it too. Choice being the key word there, right? You can choose to buy into the fear by watching XXX radio station or news channel that you know is always fear-mongering and talking about corruption and conspiracy theories and horrible stories. Or you can choose to not expose yourself to that and look at websites and media that only looks at positive responses to things and affirmative action, civic action, right? People that are coming together in community to inspire each other and ignite positive change. Those people are there. They're always been there. They always will be there. But sometimes we forget they're there because we're so busy focusing on the negative. Right? People are so quick to give a negative review, but there are so many people out there that are happy. They're really happy with the outcome of things. And they don't often go on the internet and say, I love my government. I'm so happy with this new policy. Or, this is an amazing thing that's happening in the world right now. And let's all celebrate. I wish it happened more. I'm starting to see it happen more, but it's not the instinctive reaction for a lot of people. So we can consciously choose to move away from the fear and to embrace the loving, directed, purposeful thoughts that are going to bring us and our entire humanity really to a higher level of vibration of love, right? And that can only bring us to health and wellness. That's really the only option there. Like, that's just what happens when you act from love. So let me give you an example of a situation where you're choosing fear or love. Let's say you have to choose whether or not to end a relationship. Let's say there's a relationship you're in and somebody does something that just really bugs you. It pushes your button and it angers you, and it just really is not something that you want to be part of your relationship. You have a choice in how to react to that person and to that situation, right? You can't control the circumstances. You cannot physically control another person. You can't stop them from pressing your buttons, but you can choose what happens when the buttons are pressed. Okay? So the person pushes your buttons and they're pushing the fear button. They're pushing the anger button. And you could quite easily react with fear and anger. You could react with fear and say, you know what, my whole life is going to be horrible if I stay with this person. I better remove myself from the situation. I'm going to run from this. I'm out of here. You could react with anger. You could lash out. You could go into blame mode and escalate a situation. Or you can. You do have the choice to act out of love instead and think, how can I give love to this person right now? And it's hard to do. I'm not saying it's easy to do when someone is pushing your buttons. But sometimes giving love and taking a moment to be empathetic and consider the other person's situation. Not consider that they might be right. You don't have to change your position. But consider why they might have the belief that they do. Consider the emotion behind why they're acting the way they do. Because a lot of times when people are aggressive, they're really afraid. Or when people are showing off, they're really vulnerable and questioning their self-worth. So when we take the time to go below the surface and ask, what would love do in a situation? we create wellness in our bodies. We prevent disease and we create wellness. So let's talk about visualization. I am going to put you through a guided visualization right now to show you how valuable and really impactful this can be for you. So get comfortable wherever you are right now. This has nothing to do with MS. It's just an example of visualization. So I want you to close your eyes and picture your childhood kitchen. Just pick one if there's more than one, and imagine walking into that kitchen. So you walk into the kitchen and take a look around. See where the fridge is, the stove, the countertops. See the colors and all the things that are laid out, everything you can remember. And I want you to also think about the sounds. When you were standing in your kitchen as a child, what kind of sounds did you hear? When you were in the kitchen, what kind of things did you smell? What did the kitchen smell like? When you were in the kitchen, what kind of things could you taste if you opened the fridge? Just take a moment and really get a sense for the entire experience. Okay, now I'm going to guide you a little bit. Imagine that there is a lemon sitting on the counter of your kitchen. Okay, see the lemon. See it right in front of you. Now I want you to walk towards the lemon, and I want you to actually reach out and pick up the lemon. Feel it in your hand. Feel the size of it, the shape of it, the weight of it, the texture of it. Run your hands along it. Now I want you to actually lift up the lemon, bring it up to your nose, and I want you to take a deep inhale and smell that strong, powerful scent of the lemon. All right, on the counter now, you see a cutting board and a knife. I want you to put that lemon down in your mind in this visualization. Put the lemon down, take the knife and slice through the lemon. Then take 1/2 of the lemon, slice it in half so you've created a quarter. Now I want you to take that lemon and slowly guide it to your mouth. And now without any hesitation, I want you to put that lemon in your mouth and bite down on the lemon so you can feel the juices filling up your mouth. Okay, I'm stopping the visualization right now. If this was a class, I'd be asking you right now what's happening. And I bet somebody would say, I'm salivating. And if you haven't noticed that already, pay attention to it right now. Is your mouth not full of saliva? Because this is what happens when we just think about food. You may have even noticed your lips pursing, thinking about the sour taste of the lemon as it went into your mouth, right? So these are some of the physiological reactions that happened through visualization. So that just gives you an example of the power of this process. So what if we took the time to ask ourselves, because we're always visualizing, whether we think about it or not, okay, whether we are aware of it or not, I should say. So when you're visualizing throughout your day, are you visualizing illness or are you visualizing health? Are you visualizing strength or are you visualizing weakness? How are you visualizing MS showing up in your life, in your future? The act of visualizing is affirming. It is basically saying, this is what my life is. So if all you ever think about is disease and illness and imagining yourself in a wheelchair, debilitated, sad, and alone, what do you think your life is going to be like? Now again, I'm not talking about blame. The idea of blame only applies when you already know the outcome and you choose to engage anyway. I'll say that again. You are not to blame if you couldn't predict the outcome because you didn't know. You didn't know. So maybe before listening to this, you didn't know the power of your visualization, but now you do. So now you get to be responsible for your visualizations. You get to choose to visualize yourself strong and healthy and powerful. Actively visualize it the same way I took you into the kitchen to slice and smell and taste that lemon. Visualize what it feels like to run, even if you're in a wheelchair. Visualize beautiful colors, even if your vision is blurred. Visualize yourself drawing and painting and playing the piano, even if you can't move your hands, because that is powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. That's why athletes exercise with their mind. When I was training for my marathon 10 years ago, if there was a day that I couldn't run for whatever reason, I would run in my mind. I would have mental training runs where I would visualize my running territory. I'd imagine myself putting on my running gear. I would visualize and really connect with the different muscles in my body. I would regulate my breathing patterns. I'd fall into the rhythm and get in touch with my pace goal. Your muscles actually fire when you do that. At the end of that visualization, I felt like I had run because according to my physiology, I had. My respiratory system got a workout. My cardio got a workout. My muscles were engaged. I had developed as a runner because I had taken the time to visualize it. And you can do this with anything that happens to you with MS as well. You can choose to affirm the opposite. When I was 17 and I went paralyzed on the right side of my body, it took me months to fully regain movement on the right side of my body. Most of it came back immediately, well, like 75%, but it took months to regain some movements. One of which was just the ability to grip my toes on my right side. I couldn't grip the ground. You know that feeling, MSers, I'm guessing, when your brain is telling your body to do something and just like nothing's happening. I didn't know back then what affirmations and visualization and all this stuff was. I just did it intuitively, but you know what? It worked. I would sit there on my bed staring at the toes on my right foot, just going, you are going to move. You're moving, you're moving, you're moving. And I would grip with my left and I would wait for it to happen on the right. And I would grip with my left and I would really tune in to how it was working and which muscles were moving and the exact, very, very precise mechanics of it. And I would just direct that energy onto those right toes again and again and again and again until I saw the tiniest flicker of movement. And it doesn't matter how long it takes because visualization is all about persistence and repetition and doing this daily, multiple times a daily. Because life is really an accumulation of small decisions. And it's an accumulation of actions which become habits, and your habits become who you are. And when you have a habit of visualizing wellness and awesomeness, guess what? You become well and awesome. So, maybe you want to learn some more about this. I'm going to recommend a really powerful resource. This is one of the most amazing books I have ever read. And I'm really, really thankful to my dear friend, Shireen Francis. I'll give her a shout out for introducing me to this text. The book is called Think and Grow Rich. And it was written back in 1937 by a very, very powerful, insightful person called Napoleon Hill. Now, you might think this is a book about money. On the surface, it seems to be. But the principles that he talks about can be applied to anything you want to become rich in. We want to become rich in health as MSers. You might want to become rich in love, rich in opportunity, rich in service, rich in environment. You can become rich in anything you want. And this book is one of the most powerful tools I have ever come across that will teach you how to transform your life using tools like the power of visualization. It teaches you about why it's important to practice these kind of skills and why it's important to really not be afraid of having a burning desire for whatever it is that you want. If you are in a wheelchair, you need to have a burning desire to walk again. A single focused burning desire for this. You need to visualize it, affirm it, put it into action, believe it as much as you can, because that's how it's going to come to reality. All right, so Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. I can get a little passionate about this stuff if you haven't noticed. I love this whole concept because I've seen it happen in my life in so many ways. It's how I regained my movement. It's how I control neuropathy and neuropathic pain. It's how I've improved my bladder and bowel control. It's how I've, gotten myself out of so many situations that could have resulted in long-term illness and disease and which have ended up becoming health and wellness. So the best time to do this, my last suggestion to you today, morning and night. These are, and it really just like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, taking the time. The first 5 minutes of our morning really sets the tone for our day. It's why it's so important to start the day with visualizing what you want to do, who you want to be, how you want to feel, what direction you want to move, right? That's a powerful, powerful time that you have. And it's going to happen anyway. Even if you don't take the time to direct how your day is going to unfold, it's going to happen anyway. Except that if you wake up on the wrong side of bed and you're kind of grumpy and feeling miserable and tired and those are the thoughts that you're having in the morning, you're still setting the direction of your day. You're just not setting a very positive direction. So just be aware, it's happening whether you like it or not, so you might as well take control of it, right? Right? It's a really important thing to do. So what am I visualizing right now? Wow, lots. I'm always visualizing so much. But right now, I am visualizing service. This is really my focus right now, because in this life, giving is receiving. And the more you give to other people in this world, the more you uplift other people's lives, the more you share, the more you teach, the more you engage with your community, the healthier you are and the more you get out of it. So I just love Chronically Well Club. I love sharing. I love doing my videos. I love this opportunity MS&Me has given to me to share my ideas more with the world and to help hopefully empower you to really become your best self, because this is when I'm in flow. This is when I'm in my zone. And although I'm giving to you, like you can hear it in my voice, I'm on fire right now. I feel amazing. It's actually late at night as I'm recording this, but I feel so inspired and energetic. I feel like I could take on the world. And this is what I hope for you. So, Chronically Well Club, I invite you to share this. Not just with people who have MS, but with anybody who could really benefit from these ideas, which is, hint, hint, everybody. So if there's someone that you could share these ideas with from this or any episode, pay it forward, because that can be one of your ways of giving your gifts to the world, right? Everyone has something to share. Everyone has something to teach. You are always, always a master of your own life. Nobody knows your life better than you, so get out there and share it. All right, I'm going to wrap up for now today. So once again, my name is Rebecca Naylor, coming to you from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And my gift to the world is this, Chronically Well Club. So you can find me on the internet, my main website, www.chronicallywell.club. Using the handle Chronically Well Club, you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, and all of my videos on YouTube. I also do work as an individual health coach with individuals with MS all around the world virtually. So if you're interested in learning more about my services, you can check out, as I said, chronicallywell.club/services. And please contact me. Let's engage. Let's create a dialogue. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what your questions are. I want to hear how I can help you and how I can be of service, because this is what brings me joy. So for now, everyone, please create an amazing day for yourself. Get out there and visualize and be well.